Hello, Violet. My name is Louisa. You said you would like to discuss some issues you've been having and receive a perspective from someone who's studied divine truth. Thank you for sending me your diary entry about the challenges you're having at work with Stan. Let's dive in. You say he's loud, controlling, acts like your boss. You said you've had a history of coworkers like this. Using the DivineTruth material, let's look more closely at that pattern, attracting the same type of person over and over. Can you see that's your law of attraction?
Yes, I've been aware of that for years, and no matter how much work I seem to do to heal this, I keep attracting it, and it's so frustrating I've even lost jobs over it when it was clearly the other person's toxicity.
That sounds very frustrating. Can you see that viewing God's law of attraction in a loving, helpful way? It's been there to show you there's an unfelt emotion in you.
I thought I knew that, but underneath it all, I feel punished, and I've lost jobs when I'm not the one acting out. However, in my very last job, the toxic person did get fired.
That feeling of being punished, that's really important. Can you feel how that's actually anger, too? You're saying, I'm not the one acting out, the toxic person is. But the law of attraction doesn't punish. It just reflects back what's unhealed in us. When we feel like victims of our law of attraction, we're in a blame or shame state. The DivineTruth material talks about layers of emotions around core emotions. Shame is often one of those layers, especially shame about being a victim or shame about not being healed yet. When you feel like a victim of your law of attraction, you could be in anger, blame toward God, the system, or shame, blame toward yourself, what's wrong with me that I keep attracting this? Or both. They're often interconnected. The shame might even be covering anger, or the anger covering shame. Looking at what you wrote, I've lost jobs when I'm not the one acting out. Can you feel both emotions there? There's anger. It's not fair. I'm being punished for someone else's behavior. And also shame. What's wrong with me that this keeps happening? Why can't I fix this? In each case, though, all of these, anger, shame, blame, are layers protecting you from the core grief underneath. So when Stan triggers you, underneath the anger and underneath any shame you might feel about still having this pattern, can you identify the core childhood feeling? Perhaps the core feeling is something like, I'm unwanted, or I don't matter, or I'm powerless to make people treat me well.
Definitely. I definitely feel that way.
Anger always caps a causal emotion. So when Stan gets loud and you feel that flare in your chest, what you're calling anger is actually covering over something deeper. You mentioned feeling powerless. You mentioned your mother abandoning you as a baby. When Stan barks at you, do you think what you're really feeling underneath the anger is that childhood powerlessness? That feeling of being small and having no control? Our core emotions are usually from childhood. The adult anger is just your choice to avoid feeling that childhood pain again. Does that resonate with what's happening with Stan? You said, I definitely feel that way, but I want to make sure we're distinguishing between knowing about the feeling and actually feeling it. You'll need to go into fully feeling those feelings in order to release this pattern. And in a session like this, you would have the option to do this with God, helping you to remove the original cause. Is that something you'd like to explore now, or would you prefer to work on that on your own or in another session?
I would like to digest all of this, and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for your insights. In the meantime, how should I handle the situation with Stan? He is so bossy and toxic. I get confused between having my feelings. I know the work I need to do and how to handle my day-to-day life. What does DivineTruth say about that?
That's a really good question, and it's something a lot of people struggle with. How do I work on my emotions while also dealing with difficult people in my day-to-day life? The DivineTruth material is clear about a few things here. First, you're not responsible for Stan's behavior. He's responsible for his own emotions and actions, but you are responsible for how you respond. The material talks about setting boundaries without projection. So when Stan is being bossy or disrespectful, you can set a boundary. please don't speak to me that way. But the energy behind it matters. Are you saying it from a place of self-love and truth, or are you saying it to punish him, control him, or make him feel small? In your diary, you noticed this yourself. When you told Stan, "Don't speak to me that way, it's disrespectful," the boundary was correct, but the energy wasn't clean. You were matching his fire, trying to win. So, practically speaking, when Stan gets bossy, you can. Notice what you're feeling. My chest is flaring, I'm getting triggered. Set a boundary if needed, calmly, without aggression. Walk away if you need to, not to punish him, but to take care of yourself. Feel your emotions later, in private, with God. The material also says if someone is projecting at you and you can't handle it without projecting back, it's actually more loving to remove yourself from the situation until you can. Does that help clarify things?
Yes, very much. Thank you, Louisa. I appreciate all the insights.